I mean, really earth-shattering type stuff going on there. I mean, so many investors losing money, and we're not talking about just small investors. There was big money involved.
Hey guys, welcome back to Library of Wealth. Today we have Gareth Soloway giving us his price prediction for Bitcoin, as well as an update on the crypto market and what investor sentiment looks like across the board. Cryptocurrency traders are on edge following the quick collapse of FTX, which went from one of the most trusted exchanges to bankrupt in the course of a week. Bitcoin investors have been increasingly moving their holdings to self-custody solutions at a historic rate of 106,000 Bitcoin per month, following the collapse of the world's second largest crypto exchange. Let's listen to this interview as Soloway gives us his newest price prediction for Bitcoin and where the market is headed in the next few weeks. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content we do here on this channel. Let's get right into the video.
So I think if there's anything positive to take from this, and this is definitely not a great thing, but the positive would be is that it's going to force the regulators to get some framework out to create transparency. And the biggest thing for crypto is that after FTX, there's no one with big money that is going to come into the crypto sector until there's regulation. So as bad as regulation, as much as we don't want over regulation, we need some sort of kind of framework that creates more transparency. So investors, when you put your money on an exchange, you shouldn't have to worry if it'll vanish tomorrow. That should not even be a thought. The only thing you should be worrying about is your investment in Bitcoin or Ethereum going to go up or down? This is the beginning of the final leg down in crypto. We're still going to go lower. I have it priced to go maybe down to 9,000, 10,000, but I think this will be the final flush. I think that when we bottom out, it will be a combination of regulation that gets us out, as that will draw big money into the space. And I think, by the way, I think one of the cool things about that is that it's really not that far away. Percentage-wise, yes, it's a decent percentage drop from here. But I mean, when you think about Bitcoin at 69,000 to 16, and now you're talking about 16 to 9. I mean, it's literally like comparatively that tiny of a move. So as a bull long term on crypto and on Bitcoin, I'm excited. I'm like, okay, now we're getting close to the bottom, hopefully. So I do think that there will be more entities that go bankrupt. I'm looking at FTX as being kind of the biggest of them out there. So I think that you'll have a lot of ancillary, companies that are smaller that had investments with FTX. Last week we heard about Genesis and some of these other ones. So I do think that there will be more bankruptcies, but my guess is, and my hope is that FTX was the biggest.
Is crypto dead?
No, crypto's not dead. Now, a lot of projects will go under. I think that, again, funding for projects is going to dry up. I think that people are going to become much more selective in a bear market right now in what they invest in. But ultimately, I still think Ethereum survives. I think Bitcoin survives. And I'm sure there's a handful of other coins that have major use cases that will survive. We saw this in 2018 and 19 after the 2017 big bull run, is that everyone was saying, when it was trading, when Bitcoin went back to 3,500, oh, Bitcoin's done, crypto's over. That's actually what I look for to tell me that we're getting close to a bottom. It's not a bottom yet. I want to be very cautious on that. I still think Bitcoin's going down further, but like I said earlier, this is the beginning of the last flush. I think, again, flush down to 10, maybe 9, and then I think there you start to put in a bottom. So for me, it's kind of a weird scenario because we're so used to Bitcoin going down when the stock market goes down. And during a recession, if things are going to get worse, like I think, then the stock market is going to continue to go down because earnings are going to suffer. So in terms of valuation, stocks need to adjust down. What I'm thinking is that once we get transparency and regulation in the crypto space, you're likely going to see this pivot where Bitcoin becomes much more gold-like. And what we know about gold is that when there's uncertainty in the economy, when things get scary, people love to go to gold as a safe haven. So I'm guessing that Bitcoin will have that pivot in 2023 where it actually starts to do better. Even when the stock market drops, you might see buyers, institutional buyers, going to the safe haven of Bitcoin. Now, we still have a long way to go to get there because you need regulation, you need transparency, you need trust. But I do think that will probably happen in 2023. So the broader economy, I think, is in a lot of trouble. I mean, if you look at the Fed funds rate, which basically less than a year ago was at 0.25%, percent, quarter basis point, and then we've gone to 4% in such a short time frame. That is an epically big shock to the global economy as well as the domestic economy. And I do not think that, you know, a small recession is all we're going to get here. I think that this is going to be a tidal wave. I still think you have people spending on credit cards that they paid down during COVID. They saved money, all these things. They wanted to go out and travel, so it was very stimulative. So we've kind of stayed out of that recession-ish type thing. But I think that you're going to hit a wall very soon, and you're going to see this very nasty recession come in. And the problem is the Fed cannot print money now, right? Inflation's what, 7% right now, 7.5, whatever it is. I think 7.7 was the last CPI reading. I mean, even at 5%, the Fed still can't print us out of a recession because it would then shoot inflation much, much higher. So you have this really tricky scenario where I think we could be mired in a recession that lasts for years.
What are your thoughts on Coinbase and the rest of the sort of US-based, I guess, infrastructure, if you will, in the wake of FTX?
Yeah, so I mean that's the question, right? So the question is, if you leave money on an exchange, what exchange is the exchange you want to leave it on? I would generally, and I'll tell you this, I have money on Coinbase. Another one is Kraken. Kraken supposedly gets audited 2 times a year. Coinbase is a publicly traded company, so you would assume that they're held to a higher standard because of the SEC's involvement. So, you know, it's very risky right now to be having money on an exchange, but I will admit that I do have money on Coinbase, and I feel a little bit safer by doing that because they are a publicly traded company under the umbrella of the SEC.
What fundamentals do you think these types of projects need to demonstrate before they should be considered legitimate?
So I think that's twofold, right? So number one, we have to know what's a security and what's a commodity. And Bitcoin basically we know is a commodity. So that's a different case. But I think before you can figure out the fundamentals, we need to know what type of reporting they have to do, what type of auditing they have to do. We need to know more about them. But like for something like Ethereum or even something like Cardano, maybe Polkadot, there's a lot of layers of things built on top of them. So there is intrinsic value there. There is a fundamental use case and they are being used for certain things. It's just we don't really know to the extent. We don't have any numbers. Like when Apple reports earnings, we know exactly how much revenue, what is their earnings, what are their guidance. You know, you get some sort of sense about what the company is valued at, or at least you can value it. And we don't really have that in crypto yet. So I'd like to see more of that where we can actually gauge these projects and what their real value is. But for me, for Bitcoin, it's saying, okay, well, I still believe that even though the Fed will be reluctant to print money for years, eventually we'll get in such a bad recession or depression, they're going to be forced to. And therefore, fiat currency, again, is going to be diluted more and more and more. And you're going to need something like Bitcoin. You know, gold is great, and I'm a huge gold fan. But I also think you want a digitalized gold where you can buy and sell it very, very quickly.
Soloway is concerned that the crypto industry is not being disrupted proportionally and wonders how so many coins can still exist if this is the bottom. He says that even if the Fed will cease raising interest rates later this year, he anticipates a very devastating event coming soon. According to Soloway, when the market declines, the Nasdaq is truly beginning to implode, which will actually support Bitcoin. He believes the top 50 coins with legitimate use cases should survive, with the majority of currencies being destroyed. He adds that monitoring inflation essentially boils down to keeping an eye on economic indicators and gauging how quickly the economy is contracting. Markets will start to fear if horrendous economic data is observed because a recession is imminent. And since we are in a recession and inflation can only be reduced by around 6%, the Fed is unable to simply print more money, which would lead to the next leg of market declines. What do you guys think about Gareth Soloway's prediction for Bitcoin and the impact that the fall of FTX is having on the current market? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Library of Wealth. We'll see you in the next video.